Wanted to give you a bit of an update on the DIY air conditioning. So I think last time you saw I had a big pipe coming out of here just to see how efficient it would be running from the loft. I've since partly patched that up. I need to finish that off, but it's no longer running through this cupboard, and instead I have these ceiling vents installed which are adjustable, so you can go and change how much air is coming through, and what this does is diffuse it across the ceiling, and then the cool air effectively trickles down. And as you can hear, sort of ambient in the room, it's, you know, if I'm in my bed or whatever, it's actually pretty quiet. I mean, it's less loud than, I would say, my fan on maximum. So and there's the main intake, because obviously the unit has to suck air in, condition it, throw it out, and then also throw the heat out. So the main air intake is actually up here, and I would say it's a little bit louder than I would have liked. It's probably, if you're directly underneath it, it sounds worse on the iPhone here, but it's probably like an extractor fan running on low, you know, a kitchen one. But in reality, in the rooms that I'm in, which is here, and there's an equivalent one in the study, it's pretty damn, you know, I can't even hear the air intake there. What I've also done for each one of these air outlets, I'll just take this off so you can have a look. I've installed a 1-wire temperature sensor up there, so I can track the temperature that it's being cooled to, and I also have a temperature sensor in the exhaust, so I know what the hot air output is going outside, so I can kind of look at delta T and stuff like that. And actually in this room, I think it's over there, and in the study I have some wireless room sensors as well, so I can see how long it takes to get down to temperature. If I show you what this looks like, sorry for the mess by the way, I'm sort of moving a few things about at the moment, but that's what it looks like with the diffuser grate off. And actually I've just got that, so it's directly over me at the moment, and it's quite pleasant. I'll show you what this looks like up in the loft. It's slightly Grow Lab-esque, but it's what I'm working with. So this is the loft, and what we have is 150mm uninsulated aluminium ducting going to the outlet in the bedroom, and the same going to the outlet in the study there. I could upgrade this in the future and go for insulated, because this is just you know, a single wall AC piping, but really it's quite expensive actually. So I think, you know, 5 or 10 meters of this is about £30 to £40 a go, and it's almost double for the insulated stuff. So I thought I'll see how I get along, and then if I need to upgrade it in the future I can. But yeah, if this is the overall shot of what this looks like. So 150mm diameter here, 150mm diameter here, and I've just fashioned some brackets out of some all-round band and some sleeving I had left over, and those outlets both come from these two cold outlets on the AC unit. This outlet here, the 200mm diameter one, is actually the hot air exhaust output. And what this looks like is the main output here. You actually can't see it here, but there's an aluminium one-way valve. So it's a butterfly valve, so that when air is traveling up, it opens, but air from outside, for example, air blowing over the external vent, can't travel back and then, you know, either spin the fans in the wrong direction or blow cold air back into the house. So that's why there's this piece of plastic here. This was actually the factory exhaust, and it's really there just to give some space for those butterfly valves to open. I was worried that if I connected this pipework directly to it, those butterfly flaps would get stuck in these corrugations. So what I was doing last weekend was really installing this final piece, which is the 200mm extract piping, which goes to the external vent. So I had to notch a whole block out and then stitch drill from the inside the external vent outwards, but now that's working pretty nicely. So in terms of controls, I have, like I said, I've got a temperature sensor for the hot air out and each one of the zones. And then what I did is this control panel effectively took off the unit and wired a set of Modbus relays into each one of these buttons. So with a relay click or an open and a close, I can simulate a button press. And I can't show you because I need to use my phone to be able to actually do that. But I can control everything that you can control on the panel, but on my phone. It's stateless at the moment, so I can't see what the panel is doing. So I have to rely on, knowing what the set temperature is and then turning it down. And something I will implement in the future is when the unit turns on, I'll initiate a sequence that effectively just runs the set temperature all the way down to the bottom, which is I think 15. And then I know that I'm at 15, and then I can then increment up as I need it, and then that logic will reset every time I reset or turn off and turn back on the AC unit. But one thing I did install in here is a current sensor, which is part of this cable here. So this cable carries the signal for the current sensor and also the RS485 signal for the Modbus relay. And that means that at least when I toggle this unit on or off in Home Assistant, I can get an indication of whether the unit's actually running. And really when I'm here, it's not a problem, but let's say I wanted to start it up when I'm out before I get back, I know what the current state is. There are 2 fan speed options here as well, so I can control all of that in my Home Assistant app. That all runs back to a Raspberry Pi that I've running in here, which is effectively just taking the Modbus signals, it's taking the one-wire temperature signals and that current sensor, and just making it all available via MQTT so I can control it in Home Assistant. That's pretty much it. This thing here is an air box that I built. So the bottom end of this is the opening in the plasterboard where you saw the air intake, and that's just held to the AC unit via some draft strip and a ratchet strap here to hold it tight. And the reason I've done the strip there is to reduce vibration, but also provide a semi-airtight connection. In the future, I'm thinking I may actually add individual flow pipework to each room, so that a room has an extract and a supply, because at the moment it's effectively sucking air from the hallway and then pushing it out into each room. It would be nice to have the option to recirculate, a bit like how you have in your car, where you can suck air out of the room, cool it, and then send it back, so that it brings that room down to temperature a lot faster. So that's something I am thinking about, and I could do that by adding a sort of connection onto the side of here and then just closing the vent there, so the airbox is still providing its function, but instead of drawing air solely from the hallway, it could also be pulling it from the rooms. Now the final thing I have to do is, this has a condensate drain output, which is effectively just a 5 litre, it looks like a screen wash, a screen wash, 5 litre screen wash container. And there's the option to hard plumb that. So what I will probably do is run some flexible piping along here and actually down into my airing cupboard, because there's a drain off there for the pressure release valve for the tank, and that just flips out at low level by my driveway into a sort of very simple drain. So it's going to be such a small amount of water, it doesn't make sense to try and connect that to the main drainage system. But yeah, that's where we are. It's working really well, to be honest. The air it's pushing out at the moment is about, it says 18 degrees on the panel, but it's actually about closer to 15. So it is providing a nice environment. I would say for it to take a room down from maybe 23 to 20, it would probably take an hour or 2, which is a little bit slower than, say, a mini split. But I had the limitation of not being able to install a mini split here because of the noise and the plumbing and just the cost. So yeah, I would say this is a pretty good compromise, and for less than £1,000, totally, and I'm pretty happy with it. One thing I do want to do is try and work to reduce the noise a little bit more. Like I said, not really fussed about it when I'm in the room. I have started to work on that by putting these rubber anti-vibration feet in, and actually that's really, really good for when the compressor kicks in. But I think also building or adding the option to have supply air in from the room instead of this one big air intake in the hallway will reduce the sound a little bit as well. But yeah, there you go.